We have talked a lot about how to winter sow, but does it really work? Today I will be showing you some of the seedlings I have grown outdoors in winter in milk jugs, freezer bags, plastic cups, and whatever this is. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Finding Joy in the Garden. I will be showing you seedlings in these 4 types of containers, starting with milk jugs. And this is the first jug I sowed in my how to winter sow video. So if you missed that video, I will leave a playlist in the description box. But I planted peppers in this milk jug because I know lots of people don't like to winter sow peppers. And if you can see in there, let's see. There you go, focus. There are some peppers. Now, I didn't overseed this container like I usually do, so there are very few peppers. And if you remember from that video, the soil was not the best, so it doesn't have as great a germination rate as the others. This soil was more like garden soil than actual potting mix. But I do have peppers growing. That's the lute shower pepper. And in this milk jug, as you can see, I used a different potting mix and it has way better germination. You can see the little seedlings in there. And I planted 3 different peppers in here, so you can see the little separation I made there. So you can see very good germination in there. This one over here is hard to see because the peppers are purple. But if you look in there, you can see little purple seedlings. You see that? And that's the, let me find the name. Purple perfume pepper from Baker Creek. See that? That's so cute. There is nothing like looking in your winter sowing containers and seeing these little seedlings come up. It is the most beautiful thing. I also winter sowed some Gumfrina, which is the bigger seedling right there in the middle, and some snapdragons. And I put this in an area that didn't get as much sun as it should have. So some of those seedlings are a little leggy. Let me see if I can turn this around so you can see. I make mistakes, see that? They were reaching for the sun. They're a bit leggy. But those are snapdragons. The one in the middle is the Gumfrina, the white Gumfrina, which I'm looking forward to growing this year. And some more snapdragons. I think that's the mango. Or Rembrandt. Mango twist. And the reason I'm taking the time to show you these seedlings is just more proof that winter sowing does work. And if you had never heard about it or tried it before, it might sound weird. It sounded weird to me the first time I heard about it. So I figured if I could show you what these little seedlings are doing, it would encourage you to at least give it a try. And these here are, let me see, what are these? Oh, these are lupins. And I got 3 different varieties in here. And you can see, I think I planted this probably 2 weeks ago, and they're just popping up everywhere. You see that? Beautiful. And more peppers. I really went in on the peppers because I really wanted to show that you can winter sow peppers. I know it's not as common as the cold hardy vegetables, but you can do it. If you've never winter sowed before, it is probably better to start with the cold hardy vegetables and flowers, something like black-eyed Susan, alyssum, things like that, that you are almost 100% certain that you can grow, and then move on to other things like peppers and tomatoes. But I love peppers, so it's the only way I've ever started my peppers apart from direct seeding them. And a bonus container, this is not a milk jug, but might as well be. This had cooking oil in it, and I grew some, what is it? Yes, some Gumfrina, and the little seedlings are just beginning to pop up in the container. Am I the only one constantly peeking in my winter sown containers and jugs, trying to see these little seedlings? Am I the only one going out every day to look in them? I cannot be. If you do the same thing, please let me know in the comment section. I can't be alone in this. Now, the other containers I'll show you are going to be easier to look into because they're not restricted like the milk jugs, so you can see much better. Thank you for bearing with me. So this here is a container that cake came in, so I'll call it a cake holder. And I just made holes in, this is the bottom, this is actually the bottom, and this goes like a dome on the top, but I turned it over and I made holes in this and covered it this way to start it. Now this is restrictive, so I can either cut this off, or what I probably will do is just cover it this way and use a clip to hold it here. That way I get more growing space. But I started some alyssum in here, and I split it in half, so you can see I put the honey scented alyssum on this side here, and on this side I have the, I can't read, royal carpet alyssum. So I have two different alyssums right here, and you can see they're all popping up. Alyssum loves the cold anyway, so it should be just fine. So this is an example. If you are wanting to try winter sowing for the first time, throw in some alyssum. That should do really well. I winter sowed it last year and it was completely glorious in the garden. That's why I'm trying to grow a lot of it this year, so I can spread it around in the garden and have it literally everywhere. Now moving on to cups. I did a lot of winter sowing this year in cups, as I did last year. So look at me jugging the soil around. And I have quite a few things growing in here, some peppers, some flowers, some tomatoes. So let me show that to you. First, we have this cup. And if you watched my how to winter sow in plastic cups video, this is the cup that we planted with some marigolds. I'm going to open it up. This is the Kilimanjaro white marigold. And I knocked it over. Right after planting it, I knocked it over and the soil went about, but I just threw it back in and covered it, and looky, see? They still grew. I have, I think, 6 plants in here. The Kilimanjaro white marigold. Next up, we have a tomato. This is the Dr. White Cheese tomato, which I didn't grow last year, and I really want this tomato. So I have 3 seedlings that came up. I think I planted 4. Actually, I have 4. You see the little baby? You see her? She's like, count me too. I'm here too. So there are 4 seedlings in here. And not to be left out of the game, I have some flowers, and this is a pansy. This is a historic florist mix pansies. I've never grown pansies. There's so many news for me this year. New flowers, new peppers, but mostly new flowers. Subscribe so you can see these plants in my garden with me for the first time. I am really new to flower gardening, and a lot of these flowers are just like a discovery. This is like Christmas for me. Opening these things are like, it's like a Christmas gift. But this is the historic pansy. Aren't they pretty? And I suspect more will pop up because I think I put in more seeds, but even if this is all I get, isn't that something? Now this here is the German chamomile, and look, there's so many in here. I can see why they say chamomile reseeds very easily. You can see it's a vigorous grower. She just wants to be here. So I have a lot of seedlings in here. I should not be wanting for a chamomile this year, God willing. And for some peppers, I know I said I was showing you solo cups, but this is a recycled yogurt container, and I love to use these to winter sow. They're larger than the cups. They hold more soil, and if I'm planting something that I need a lot of, I can do that in this container versus a cup. And this is, if I remember, lipstick pepper. So lipstick pepper, I'm trying to grow a bit more sweet peppers this year because I am a snacker in the garden and I just want to pick something off the plant and eat it. So I am trying to deliberately plant more things that are snackable. So this lipstick pepper is supposed to be a sweet pepper you can eat in the garden. So there you go. I don't know why this little seedling looks jaundiced. Why you got the jaundice? Why, baby? But I have a lot of seedlings, so it doesn't matter. That's why I like to overseed. You can see another one coming up right there. So that's the lipstick pepper. Now, I don't know why I planted more of these because I have so many of them that overwintered in my garden and are still alive. And I believe most of the cold that we will be getting this year is gone. I don't think we're going to get as cold. I think we went as cold as 18 or is it 16 Fahrenheit? I forget, but I don't think we're going to get that cold again. So I'm presuming that the Black Prince Snapdragon is perennial in my zone, even though when I bought it, it did say it was an annual. But then I started all these seedlings. Look at all of these seedlings. So I'm going to have a lot of Snapdragons, apparently. She wants to be here. Snapdragons. Some more peppers. This is, so it's not echinacea. So these are old cups. Like I said, these cups and most of these things are reusable. So I used this cup last year and I planted echinacea in here and then I struck it out. You can always just wipe it with some rubbing alcohol and get it off, but I just struck it and I wrote the new name. Ají Cristal. I have a lot of writing space. So it's the Ají Cristal pepper, and I grew this last year as well. I have 3 seedlings in here, my little peppers, some tomatoes. This is the Rutgers tomato, and you can see a little bit of green growing in there. I don't mind. It doesn't matter to me. It just means I, at some point, overwatered these cups, and they don't really bother the seedlings, so I don't bother them either. But I have 4 seedlings in here of the Rutgers tomato. I haven't grown this tomato ever, so that would be a nice addition to my garden. The Rosella Purple. This is a dwarf tomato. Rosella Purple. It's a dwarf tomato, and I've grown it a couple of years now. I love it. It did have a problem last year with disease, so I'm going to try again this year and see if I can get it to grow successfully. So I have 4 seedlings in here, and they look super healthy. Rosella Purple. And these happy babies are Salpiglossis. I hope I'm saying this right. If I'm wrong, someone correct me in the comment section, but this is the black trumpet Salpiglossis. I grew this last year. I only had 2 plants and I didn't put them in a good spot. So I really want to see how these do in their prime when they're treated nicely. So hopefully I'll get a chance this year because I have quite a few seedlings growing here. And I grew some lavender. So if you have trouble growing lavender, it's a process. You're supposed to cold stratify and this and that. I have grown lavender from seed. Of course, I last year left them in the cup and let them die because I was overwhelmed with the amount of work I had to do. But I got them to grow successfully, germinate successfully, I should say, in cups, winter sowed. I didn't have to put them in the fridge or do any of that. So lavender or anything that needs cold stratification, winter sowing is the way. So see, this is the torch blue lavender, and these seedlings look beautiful. I think I have about 5 in here. So if you want to grow lavender, try winter sowing it. Just try it. What do you have to lose? Let me know in the comment section what seedlings are popping up in your winter sown containers. I would love to know. So those are the cups, and we'll move on to bags. Now in this bag are some basil seedlings, and if you watched my video on how to winter sow in Ziploc bags, this is one of the bags we planted. And flip that. There you go. So if you can see in there the little itty bitty seedlings. Let me move this in. There you go. So I planted 2 types of basils. These are both, I think, dwarf basils, if I remember. I don't remember. Let's see. This is the purple ball basil. And this is the dwarf Greek basil. So I'm right, they are both dwarf basils. And the thing with winter sowing is these seedlings will come up when they're ready. They won't usually germinate until the weather is right for them. So except you have some wonky weather. We had a little bit of wonky weather this year, but if you have a bout of unusually warm temperatures in the middle of winter, some of the seedlings may wake up early, but in general, they wake up when they're ready. So the basil seeds, I expected to wake up bit later than, say, a cold hardy flower that loves to be in winter would do. So they're both germinating. You can see the purple ball basil has more of a purple tinge to the leaves, and that's the Greek basil, and they're doing wonderful. This bag is full of snapdragons, and you can see they're itty bitty little seedlings. They just woke up, and they're coming through. And someone had asked me about cracking. Let me take this out so you guys can see. It's kind of hard to, there you go. Now, someone had asked me about cracking. Does the soil crack? It does crack, but the plants don't seem to mind. They do just fine in it. And that's a lot of seedlings in there. There will be snapdragons in my garden. I also have some poppy seedlings. This is the black swan poppy. And you can see quite a few of them in there. And these should be ready for transplant, really. I'm just not planting yet. Here are some purple coneflowers. And I am so excited to see these because this is one of the flowers I really, really want to grow this year. Even though I know I probably won't get any flowers this year, that's okay. I just need these to be growing in my garden. See the cracking I was talking about? Seedlings are still doing fine. Now, I did say I'd show if I had any mishaps. So here are my dahlias. I'm growing some dahlias from seed for the first time this year, and I had some seedlings that didn't make it. I'm not sure why, but the ones on this side of the bag seem to do okay. And then the ones on this other side perished. So I have like 3 carcasses in there, but I do have some dahlias growing. So you win some, you lose some. You can always replant. And in this bag, I'm doing an experiment to see if I can grow peppers in a Ziploc bag. I usually grow my peppers in the milk jugs. I feel like they have the most insulation, but I just wanted to try this year just to see. So I'm growing, it's really hard to see, but I just wanted to show you that they're starting to pop up. You see in there? The peppers are starting to pop up in there. And that's the serrano pepper that's growing in there. I have 3 different peppers in here. And I think I planted them like 2 weeks ago, so it's still early, but I will show you when they start to grow. And if they don't do that well, I'll show you too. So subscribe so you don't miss that. And look at these gorgeous seedlings. My goodness. This is the Gaillardia Double Sunset. Look. Yeah, I'm going to have a field of flowers. Winter sowing really does work. I know these seedlings look a little smaller than what you see at the garden center. So if you would like to see what these plants should look like in a few weeks when they're ready for transplant, I have footage from last year and I can make a video showing you the seedlings before transplant. So let me know if you're interested in that in the comment section. Leave a comment saying results video and I'll get that ready for you. Anything to encourage winter sowing. Thank you so much for joining me in the garden in my home today. Click here if you would like to learn how to winter sow in recycled containers, or click here if you would like a playlist of informative videos on winter sowing. Like the video if you liked the video, subscribe for more videos like this, and until next time, may you always find joy in your garden and your life. Bye, garden friend.